What did you see from this here? Get this first extended amount of reps out there.
Yeah, it was good to have him, back and playing well. And like you said, the first extended reps really since Tennessee last year. And again, in that game, I thought he did a nice job. So was really pleased. I think it started with the very first play of the game, right? They try to throw a hitch. He pins it to the ground against a really good receiver. I think that was a confidence boost for everybody. It's for him, for his teammates, for me, his play call, the whole deal. And so, and he just continued it through the entire night. So really proud of how he played. And now he's just got to keep stacking performances.
Is that the kind of performance that earns him a bigger role even when you do get fully healthy at that position?
Absolutely. We're going to play the best. And so if a guy's playing really well, like he's going to keep playing.
The Florida wide receivers are really explosive. They'll test him the entire secondary. So what are some coaching points you hit on to try to prevent those big plays from happening like they did against them a year ago?
Yeah, there's so many different things. It's not just singularly on, the back end. It's, we talk about all the time, we've got to do a great job of, disrupting the quarterback. We've got to play with clean eyes in the back end. We've got to play with good technique, understand, when it's time to challenge, when it's time to play, off. I have to do a good job of trying to, mix some coverage and some relief downs in there for those guys. And so it's a combination of everything. But at the end of the day, what stood out the most on Saturday was the effort in which they played. And there was effort, there was energy, there's enthusiasm. They were pulling for each other, the whole nine. And so we need a repeat performance of that. And then you tack on, execution. That ended up being a good night.
I know you guys recruited Lorenzo Cowan out of high school too, but getting him a year later as he's starting to play more, what do you think with his development?
Yeah, I think we're just starting to scratch the surface, and he was a guy that, we didn't get till the summer, in that second window. And so, we talk about all the time when you play that outside backer position, it just takes some time to get adjusted. And he's starting to get settled in and play fast and play confident. And it was good to see him get some more extended reps. And hopefully we can build on those going forward.
Mark noted the precision. That was the word he used to talk about the defensive line and their ability to get to the quarterback. Just what are some of those details that have to be right in order to really consistently put pressure on the quarterback?
Yeah, it just like any position that you talk about, precision comes down to the execution of the technique that you're being taught sort of in that moment, hand placement, eye discipline, footwork. And again, Coach Stewart does such a good job with those guys. Coach Fuqua and those outside backers, impacted so much in the game as well. So there's a lot of technical detail that goes with pass rushing. There's some instinctual feel that goes, and then there's some technical aspects. And I think Coach was referring to the aspect in terms of how their hand placement, their extension, their footwork was really on point. And they just played physical. They played fast. They played physical. And then even when it wasn't exactly precise, it was rugged. And because they went with pace, it made it all right. You create a dirty pocket. It just creates some frustration for quarterbacks. It keeps their eyes from staying downfield on receivers, out of breaks, what the coverage is. Is the receiver coming open, all of a sudden you hit them a couple of times. Now, they start to get a little more antsy in the pocket. They start to feel it collapse. And then so much of pass rush, everybody thinks about the fancy moves and this and that. So much is about the effort and the strain at the top of the pocket. And they were hunting all night long. They were trying to be the first one there.
When you look at the film, is there anything in particular that stands out about DJ Lagway that maybe you guys haven't seen so far this season?
He's a really good player with terrific arm strength. we've seen bits and pieces of him probably in different quarterbacks, right? And so not one that we've played has been the same, but you between Lenora Sellers and Arch Manning, and just different components where guys have good arm strength. They see down the field, they can make all the throws, especially those deep overs. He can throw from different arm angles, and then he can run. Like he runs way better than probably most people give him credit for. Had some big runs against us the first play of the game, then a third and short, when he pulled it, had some big runs against Georgia last week. So no, he's the complete package in terms of what he can do damage wise. Obviously it starts with his arm, and his ability to push the ball downfield, and the fact that he can throw from multiple arm angles, that if a pocket does get dirty, he can still find a way to get the ball pushed.
Brad, speaking of that, obviously last year you only had 7 completions in that game, but finished well over 200 yards. Is that something you burn that film, or do you show that to your guys to say, hey, we can't let something like this happen again?
I mean, no, you can't burn that film like that. That's teach tape. That's clinic tape. Both for him and for us, right? Like what not to do, and in games that you play well, right? Like you realized, okay, we kept the ball in front of us. We minimized those big plays. In games that we haven't played well, just like 2 weeks ago, we did not keep the ball in front of us. And so no, we have to learn. We have to watch it. You have to take the coaching points. Myself, I have to realize, hey, how can I get them in better situations? How can maybe I affect him? How can I change the picture? Whatever the case may be. But again, that's how quickly it can turn. It doesn't take, you don't have to be, 30 for 30. If you can hit 7 bombs, that changes a game. And so we've got to do a good job of limiting those. And if they hit some, then we find a way to get it to the ground, and then we have to find a way to rise up.
Very good.
Coach, this weekend is a salute to service game. Can you just talk about the importance of that going into this weekend?
Yeah, that's it. It's a huge deal for me. I come from a military background. My dad was 20 years Air Force. My brother just retired last year after 20 years Marine Corps as a pilot. Both my grandfathers served in World War II. So again, the military, runs deep with me. And so the true sacrifice that the men and women of our armed services make on a daily basis, far greater than any issue that we have to deal with in a football program. And so I try not to lose sight of that. We get stuck in our own worlds, but we realize that the sacrifice that men and women are making for us so that we can play games on Saturdays and have fun in locker rooms after wins and have the sting of defeat. It's much more real, the battles that they have to fight. So again, a huge shout out to our military, and thank you for all they do.
Brett, can you talk a little bit more about Austin Ramsey and that process of him coming over to the defensive side? And it seems like it's really starting to click with him.
Yeah, unique. We talked about this. It's rare that you go from offensive line to defensive line. It's usually the reverse, but he did a great job, first of all, when he first came in, shedding a ton of weight, right? Came in pretty heavy and shredded himself down to being a 300-pounder that can really move. He's super athletic, strong. He's got a great, teacher, in David, and that he gets to learn from, in terms of how to play, how to prep. And so again, there's still a learning curve for him, and every week, he's trying to take another step forward, and that's the goal, right? We just want to keep taking steps forward. They don't have to be giant steps, but baby steps, and try to avoid the steps back.
Brad, I believe the game
Last
last season against you guys, that was Jaden Ball's first ever start, and now, of course, he's the established guy there in the backfield. How much different does he look on film now, having that full year?
Yeah, I mean, I think I told our defense, and like I think this is the most complete back that in the SEC, the most complete back we'll face maybe this year. So up to this point, he is. You know, his ability to run over you. He's got an unbelievable jump cut. He's got soft hands, so he's, you know, a part of the pass game. Will put his face in there and blitz pickup. Like just a complete back. Like he's the full package. Now, you know, the big thing we have to do is we're gonna have to tackle, and we're gonna have to. It's hard to bring him down with just one guy. We're gonna have to get multiple hats. You know, we had that same thought process last week. You know, with Cobb. You know, and so, but that's life in this league, right? You're gonna face good backs week in and week out, but yeah, he's right up there at the top. You know, in my opinion, probably number one.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Thank you.